This episode of Inspire AI podcast is sponsored by Exponent 21. I keep hearing the same thing from business leaders lately. We're doing the work, but leads are harder to explain. Traffic is down, attribution feels fuzzy, and the old answers don't really fit anymore. What's changed is how people search. Instead of clicking links, people are asking questions, and AI is answering them. Tools like ChatGPT, Google's AI-powered results, and Perplexity are shaping which brands get mentioned, referenced, and remembered. Exponent 21 specializes in AI SEO. They help businesses understand how to show up consistently inside those AI-generated answers across questions about their industry, their services, and their brand. What stands out to me is that when people ask AI tools, who's leading in this space? Exponent 21 and its leaders are often referenced near the top. That comes from doing the work and shaping how this new search environment actually functions. To understand what this shift means for your business, visit exponent21.com. Welcome back to Inspire AI, the podcast where we help leaders stay calm, capable, and intentional in an AI-accelerated world. Today's conversation is about something that's happening in organizations right now. The way we work is changing, not gradually or predictably, but at a speed that most people are still trying to process. And that's exactly where today's guest operates. Vivek Gupta is the founder of an IT services company focused on helping organizations build what he calls a digital foundation, working across industries like financial services, healthcare, education, and consulting. But what makes this conversation particularly important is this. Vivek isn't just thinking about AI as a tool, he's thinking about AI as a system-level shift in how work itself is designed. In fact, through his work with companies at different stages of growth, he's identified a pattern. As organizations scale, they hit the same friction points over and over again. And with AI accelerating faster than any previous technology wave, those friction points are becoming impossible to ignore. In this episode, we explore what he calls the future of work, not as a concept, but as something very real and already being built. We also talk about why AI feels different from past technologies, why it's forcing people to rethink their roles entirely, and why the speed of change might be the most disruptive factor of all. And we also get into what this means for individuals, the skills that matter, the mindset shifts required, and how to stay relevant in a world where intelligence is becoming embedded into every system we use. So again, it's not a conversation about tools, it's more a conversation about adaptation. Because the future of work is something that's already unfolding around us. And the real question is, how do we respond to it? So let's get into it. Welcome to Inspire AI, Vivek. Thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jason. Pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, why don't we get started by telling the audience a little bit about yourself and what brings you here today?
For sure. I'm leading an IT services company focused on digital foundation. We have been doing a lot of work with organizations in financial services, advisory consulting, healthcare, education, nonprofit, and multiple of these different industries for years. Um, After having done that for a lot of years, we realized that there are certain pain points that every organization goes through when they look at growing their organization from stage one to stage two, or to try to grow it exponentially and based on their own growth patterns and everything. So we understood what are the paths that every business has to take in order to achieve the level of growth they're looking for. With that, we realized with a lot of innovation coming in with AI technology, there is a significant amount of contribution that we could provide. And our knowledge and AI innovation, combining both of these things together, we decided to come out with a solution that we call future of work. And that's what we are really focused on at this point. So, my goal for today's session is to talk a little bit about what that future of work looks like, how would that benefit organization, what's the foundation for it. I would like people to understand which direction AI is going to take in the next 6 to 9 months and how our future of work platform is going to enable organizations go through AI transformation to be ready for what's ahead in the next 6 to 9 months.
Awesome. So you have a lot of experience helping businesses grow through phases of their maturity cycles, and you have identified the technologies are there, ready, and capable of supporting your business model as well as those that you want to help. And you call this technology minds,
Yeah, that's correct.
and it's based on your concept of the future of work. Did I get all that right?
Yes, absolutely. That's
Yeah.
correct.
And from my angle, AI Ready RVA, our nonprofit, the 501c3 that manages or hosts this podcast, is extremely invested in understanding what the future of work is like from many different angles, so that we can support the greater Richmond region's growth through the next 1 to 2 to 5 years of the technology disruption that it exists today. So I think this really aligns very well with our audience.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and kick off the first question here. Okay, so what's fundamentally changing with the technology these days? Why is AI becoming the catalyst for changing how we work?
There are a lot of different ways we can answer that question, but let me introduce two primary perspectives of analyzing the topic that you just brought up. The first, I would call it speed. There are a lot of different innovations that happened over the last couple of decades. What is different about artificial intelligence is the speed at which it is being adapted, it is innovating, it's a lot faster than what we all have seen in the past. So, one of the things that's different and causes anxiety in people's mind is the speed at which it is growing because people are used to seeing the technology growth as they have seen in the past with any other technology. So, AI growing at such a enormous speed makes people a little bit anxious about it, and that's one of the biggest things that's different about AI. Another thing is, in most of the cases, newer technologies have extended people's ability to do their activities. If you look at mobile technology, it has provided you an additional channel of communicating or performing your tasks or jobs. If you look at cloud, it has simply taken away our individual server farms from businesses over to one co-located collective server farm, but it's still pretty much doing the same thing. It hasn't really disrupted people's individual responsibilities in such a greater way, but expected them to adapt this new technology. AI is fundamentally challenging people to start rethinking about their own job roles. The way you do your job today, well, you are not expected to do that in the future. Look at anybody in the world, right? It's just not, I'm talking about service jobs or manufacturing jobs or anything in particular. I'm saying even the least affected areas by AI manufacturing have started seeing introduction of artificial intelligence in their business roles. Whether sales department, doesn't matter which type of industry you belong to, had come to utilizing AI in such a greater way that I would say 40 to 50% of their job role is being done by utilizing the AI tools. What has changed with introduction of AI is people having to rethink about their job roles, no matter which industry, which title, which classification, which department they belong to. They have to really start rethinking it, which has never happened before.
Yeah. And the having seen your demo prior to this session, I wonder, do you start with the job or do you start with the business, the concept behind the business, the business model, what they need? Or do you think about the job itself and its fundamental responsibilities when you think about helping redesign the future of work? So I'm thinking like, do you consider the salesperson in their role or do you consider the business? And how do you address those two various perspectives when you think about the future of work and the platform that you've developed?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think business and job roles, they both are connected with each other. So they're not exclusive, separate entities. So when you look at one, you automatically consider another one. Our focus starts looking at specific departments and functions. And by looking at analyzing them and finding a way to introduce artificial intelligence by minimizing the frictions, we are making those job roles or functions more efficient. By doing that, we are making individual departments more efficient, and that overall improves the AI adoption for the entire business.
Okay. So you look at the business department and various companies or clients of yours have different needs, but they generally have similar frameworks around their department structures and things like that. So a lot of that is reusable. Okay.
Absolutely.
Take a look at that list. I want to ask, do business leaders generally approach this problem from a business perspective, or do they build buy-in with their employees first? Do they talk with their employees, or do they just say, "Hey, by the way, we're taking on a new technology here, and we want you to start using it. Now go learn this platform." And there might not be a right or wrong way to do this, but I'm just curious, like, how do businesses begin adopting such a new mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And Jason, ideally, we would like business leaders to start thinking about their AI strategies, AI transformations, and then see the need coming for them to bring a solution like this in-house and then start integrating it. But till date, what we are seeing happening is people not envisioning it at this point, or at least, very few percentage of people are envisioning it at this point. It's just not a piecemeal type of approach that they need to take. They need to take a holistic approach in visualizing how their AI transformation is going to look like, not today, but 6 months down the road, 1 year down the road. And very few people who are able to see that feel a tremendous amount of need to onboard a platform like ours, where they want to see everything under one umbrella so that they can control it, manage it, and utilize it for the entirety of their entire organization with multiple departments involved. In reality, what's happening till date is, in most of the cases, we're having to target individual departments. So we first talk to sales department, and they like our approach towards innovating sales function roles, and then they say, okay, we're going to use it. Then once it gets established, then customer support comes in, and then accounting comes in. So it kind of expands department by department, and that's fine too. That's okay. At least they are building that foundation for their entire organization one piece at a time. But I think ideally, or probably in the next few months, when people get a little bit more educated about the challenges that they're going to have with piecemeal approach, they're going to start looking at the importance of platform like ours more proactively than they do today.
Yeah, that's where my mind was going. I'd really love to hear from you on what kind of risks are involved there. Do you think we can talk about that now, or should we talk a little bit more about the platform and the future of work before we head into that?
No, we can definitely talk now. Not an issue.
Okay. So tell me more about what the piecemealing does to the business that sets a bit of a disadvantage to their future growth capabilities, leveraging this sort of platform.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that might also give us a good segue to take a look at our future of work, how we see it. So let me first describe the problem, and once we understand the problem, then I can give you a little bit of demo to see how we solve that problem. So what happens today is the sales department feels a need that they need artificial intelligence in order to build efficiency as part of their departments. In some cases, there is a mandate comes from the top and say, okay, 30% or 40% of automation needs to happen with AI. So either way, sales department starts looking for AI transformation type of platforms. What happens if they decide to go with a vendor that only specializes in sales type of transformation is sales department then just starts working with them and create a silo.
Mm-hmm.
We need to understand that AI technology, when that gets introduced, it's not just like you created an application in Java. AI comes with a lot of different elements that have to work together. You
Yeah.
have to have your LLM, you have to have your agent business logic that is created. You have to have your own organizational data shared and exposed. You have to have build your guardrails, business logics, a lot and compliances. There are a lot of different things that have to go with AI in order for you to completely integrate it as part of your organization as an enterprise ready solution.
Yeah.
Imagine sales department brings one solution, does all of that to it. Then customer service department feels a similar need. They go to the vendor one, they bring that solution in, and again do the same thing all over. Now accounting department has a similar need, go to the vendor three, bring a third solution in, and go through the similar exercise all over again. Imagine you do that in five departments, five different times. Your one-time costs have gone astronomical. All of the things that you had to do once, you ended up doing five times. But this story doesn't end just at one-time installation cost. Your maintenance also becomes nightmare. If something changes in compliance of your industry, then you have to go to all these five different vendors and then do it. If something has to change in your business logic, maybe you're changing your business model, maybe you're introducing a new line of business, there could be anything that might require you to change something about business. Once again, you have to go through all those five different vendors.
Yep.
And the funny thing about it is, since you don't have control over what underlying AI architecture is being used by these individual vendors, no matter how hard you try, you might never be able to bring them all at the same page. Your sales agent might talk something different, but your customer service agent might actually not agree to. So now there is no brand consistency. There are
Yep.
tremendous amount of problems. And then finally, if you ever want to see the complete 360 degree of what's happening with your AI transformation, you just can't do it because your data is sitting in silos.
Yep.
So I think once you are going to go through AI transformation phase in a little bit of matured way, you're going to see all these problems coming in. If you're not seeing it today, it's just because you're at a very early level. The more maturity you gain, the more of these problems that you're going to see.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, if all of these problems are going to come up, how do we solve them?
Hmm.
And our solution that we call future of work is an answer to it. If you don't have any other questions, maybe I can jump in and very quickly give you a demo of how we see future of work and walk you through the potential solution for this problem.
Well, how about I do ask you a direct question then, because you've set it up pretty well. Vivek, I hear the business model, I hear the approach. So what does an AI augmented worker actually look like in practice? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Let me jump in and give a quick demo of what our product looks like. And I think with the help of our solution, I would be able to describe that a little bit better.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Jason. So, what you're looking at is our enterprise AI platform. And this platform is built with an understanding of what would be the least friction solution to bring AI transformation for businesses today. We tried to build this AI transformation in a way that looks closest to the organization's business model today. Every business that you look at has multiple different departments. Each of the departments have multiple different roles. It doesn't require a lot of time and energy for somebody to take a look at solution like this and then relate the agents listed in the solution and the business roles that they have within their own organization. So it's a very good one-to-one match that they can correlate with and very easy for them to comprehend what these agents are going to be doing and how that will be solving their efficiency problem or help them improve efficiency of their workers. If you very quickly look at the sales department, you would see that we have AI SDRs, we have agent to generate codes, then web research, produce sales analytics. Similarly, if you look at customer support, we have AI chatbots, AI call centers. If you look at finance, we have an agent to generate invoices. We have another one coming up for processing invoices and making the payments to the vendors. If you look at human resources, we have chatbots to help employees find information about their organization, recruitment assistance that filters through resume coming in for any of the profiles that you have posted online. And once found relevant resumes, this assistant makes a call to them to find out their availability and interest. Everything works out. Then this agent goes ahead and sets up a meeting on hiring manager as well as candidates calendar. So you can see how the different roles that exist in organizations today match up
Hmm.
with the roles that have been assigned to each of these agents. And because of this one-to-one relationship that we have created, we see this as a solution that presents least friction to get integrated in the current structure that organizations work with.
Okay. So what I'm looking at here is a portal that accesses multiple job families. And each of the job families, you have sales, customer support, finance, HR, etc., have individual agentic systems that take certain job functions and deliver efficiencies based on the business need. These efficiencies are associated to the job function, but they're specific to certain responsibilities. And you have identified ways of decomposing those job functions and those responsibilities into various agents. And that's essentially what your platform is doing for the business. It's scaling across these job functions using your back end system. And how does this get approached by, let's say, a sales rep person or an HR manager in the business? Do they see this and do they push these buttons, or is there a different workspace for them specifically to be able to leverage the agents directly?
Certainly. So, in order for people to use this solution, first of all, an admin will have to create an account for whoever they subscribe to. So the subscription model for a solution like this is very simple. Either you can subscribe to this entire platform, or you can subscribe to a department, or you can subscribe to any one agent in a department. But let's say if you subscribe to this entire platform, then you have to decide which roles to be assigned to which person in your organization.
Hmm.
In a sales department, a sales director or a VP should have access to everything in sales. So you can create something like here sales, that can be assigned to your sales director. So what's going to happen is when they log in, they're not going to be seeing any of these tabs of other departments. If they only have access to sales, they would see only sales tab. And when they click on this sales tab, they would be able to see all the different sales agents that you have subscribed. If you
Right.
subscribe to one agent, then you're going to see that only one
Okay.
agent.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The privileges are set up, the visibility of each of the modules and the agents specific in the modules. You're a sales agent, a sales rep, and you have access to these modules, and you use this system to energize or exponentially deliver on your against your role with these technologies. And that's essentially what it's doing is giving the individual worker the ability to 10x their job function.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
So it's not replacing anybody, right? It's not a bunch of agents running the sales department. It's giving the worker more efficient tools and technologies to advance their job function. So based on this version of the platform that you've developed here, how would you describe the future of work? Because there might be a lot of folks here in the audience that aren't going to be able to see this screen, but based on this platform and what you envision for companies in the next 6, 12, 18 months, what is the future of work like?
correct. Thanks, Jason. I think that's a really important question for people to understand. I think future of work is gonna be incorporating artificial intelligence as part of your daily routine. Look at any other technologies that we have seen in the past decades. Look at innovation of computers, right? When they initially came out, people were scared a computer can do job of about 20 people and then jobs would be lost. But today we can't see ourselves working without computers. Our discussion and meetings today is happening because we both have access to computers and we can efficiently utilize it. Otherwise, we probably couldn't have talked to each other. So, the potentials of humans to be able to do things is growing with the introduction of technology, and AI is going to bring is going to bring similar opportunities. It is going to extend and enhance abilities for human to do things that we haven't been able to do so far. And what it would take, I think what it would take is for us to very quickly realize and understand that one, AI is here to stay, it is not going to go away, and we better adapt it and learn how to work with it to make ourselves more efficient. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what is really going to be the key. People who are going to be more successful are not the people who are the smartest, but are the people who are going to know and learn how to utilize AI in the smartest. I think individual person's smartness would definitely have an impact on their career goals, but the factor that would contribute a lot is how smartly you are going to be able to utilize AI to your benefit. Because AI's ability is going to be multifold. to add to your efficiency. If you don't use it, you're going to be at a significant disadvantage in comparison to the others who are using it.
All right. So, given the take on leveraging AI to thrive in the future of work, what would you say are some of the more important skills that career professionals should be developing since they're going to be embracing these technologies more and more? What kind of like generic skills would you recommend? Like your platform looks very intuitive. Like you have an interface where you deliver the right services to the right job family, and they can go and leverage those agents whatever way they feel they need to go throughout their daily routine. But what about those that are not able to leverage systems like that yet? What do you think they should be doing right now to set themselves up for success, if you will? And we can talk about generic communication skills. Any generic skills is fine to reference here, but I'm thinking like the technology, when people get their hands on this stuff, like how should they learn about it? And what would you recommend they do to embrace the next 2 to 3 years of change that's coming?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Jason. Another very important question. I could be wrong, but what I really feel is the importance of those traditional skills is going to minimize in the next 2 to 3 years. To again go back and look at the importance of skills, how that had changed. When computers came out, people who were able to do very quick calculations stopped seeing their needs in the market. It was not needed anymore. Though they were very smart, they had, very strong grasp on mathematics and everything, but that skill wasn't needed anymore. Similarly, I think the individual skills in technology is going to see a tremendous amount of change. It's not that we're not going to need people. It's not that the need of his human skills is going to go away, but the transformation that is going to be significant. People, a lot of thousands and thousands of people who are sitting behind the desk doing the programming and coding would not last for another 2 to 3 years. I think in a matter of 6 to 9 months, that's going to go away. You don't need to be a huge communicator because ChatGPT, once you type what you have in your mind, does great deal for you. Artificial intelligence is coming out with a tremendous amount of translation capabilities. You don't need to know if any particular language anymore. You're fine with having ability to express yourself in your mother tongue, whatever that could be. So in my mind, what would make people more successful? I think one, their ability to adapt, and second, creativity. These are two going to be the very, very important aspects of any being successful in this rapidly changing world of artificial intelligence.
Okay. So adaptability and creativity. Yes. I can see that. I think that was a great like transition to two good questions. Vivek, given all of that, if someone early in their career asked you how to prepare for the next decade of work, what would you tell them to focus on?
A decade, I think is going to be really tough with the pace, the things are changing.
How
I
about the
think,
next 4 years?
yes, I think that's definitely a little bit more reasonable. I think I would really say if you are going to focus more on technology side, definitely invest your time in figuring out how do you contribute in making AI better, or you focus on seeing use cases and applications of AI in business and learn how to do that integration. Because that's where most of the or technology work is going to go, either make AI better or implement that for the benefit of organizations. I think this really is going to be key for most of the technology jobs. For non technology, for the business related, I would say You need to be very, very open minded and be ready to adapt for any AI change that's coming in. No matter which industry, which job role we're talking about, I think AI is going to enter everywhere. So if you think that AI has not entered into this field yet, so we probably don't need to think about it or worry about it. I think that would be immature. And if we are talking about the future, then we do need to start thinking about it and see how AI could enter in my area and I prepare myself for it. Because in the next 6 months or 1 year, people are going to start asking for those skills.
Yeah, I agree. So, finally, if we zoom out 5 years from now, what do you think will surprise people most about the future of work?
I think what would surprise people the most is the speed at which AI is going to become an integral part of their job roles. As I talked earlier, I think one of the biggest surprising factors for people, I go to a lot of conferences related with AI. I've spoken at a couple of conferences, and what I see people is still not being able to understand this whole game is about the speed at which it is running. People talk about they're trying to learn it one at a time and trying to then experiment with it and then do the POC with it. And by the time they get done with it, they realize, they're already outdated. So I think what's happening is people are is still trying to tackle AI the same way they have tackled the previous technologies. They're not ready to adapt. They're not willing to understand that AI is a different beast. It's a different animal. You can't handle it with the same way and approach that you have handled the evolution of previous technologies.
Mm,
It's running too fast. If you keep doing the same thing to it that you have done in the past, again and again, you're going to realize that AI is ahead in the game. And then all the POCs and experimentation that you have done in the past probably would have no value and meaning. I think that's the surprise people have already started seeing. And I think the positive surprise that people would see after 5 years is AI would have already gotten introduced as part of their daily routine job roles, and sometimes by force, by mandate, sometimes by their own willingness to admit and accept it with their own motivation of increasing their own efficiencies, one way or the other. I think it is going to find its way of getting introduced as part of their job roles. And I think people would be surprised to see how quickly that happened.
wow. Agreed. I'm already seeing how, because I've been on the path for a while, right? I see how the transition is impossible to keep up with. You could spend all of your life trying to catch the changes and you just will never catch them. There's just too many of them out there. And there's something very profound, like maybe subliminal in what you're saying that I need to assess for myself even, because I'm not going to imagine that I'm perfect in how to align myself, my career goals to the changes specifically. But I know that there's something about being able to envision yourself, envision your organization using these technologies, and be the person that kind of introduces those ideas, being the creative side, like you said, being adaptable, being open to change. All of those things are absolutely essential. And being a technologist for 20 years, I feel like that's where my mind is at. But instead of things changing drastically every 6 months, they're changing drastically every month or even faster. And it's a lot to think about, but I think about it regularly, and I can appreciate everything you just said. But we all need to internalize it, I think, and take it for what it is, where we currently are, and try to figure out ways to adapt to it, to adapt to the change, and be willing to accept that, because it's not going to stop transitioning us, whether we like it or not.
That you said it absolutely correctly, Jason. And the more we try to stay away from it, the more we're gonna find it harder
Yeah.
to let it introduce in our lives. The more open, the more adaptable we are, the more acceptable we are, the easier it's gonna get. It is a necessary evil, or whatever you want to call it. Maybe evil is not the right word for it. It's gonna enter as part of our lives. It would be the best for us to open up and easily accept it rather than negate it and stay away from it. That's the best thing we can do for ourselves and for our careers.
Yeah. What would you suggest, just in closing, some of the, and I know you've been through the mindset shift and you've developed your own habits. What habits would you recommend people develop to help their transition more seamlessly?
I think it depends on what stage you are at. So if you still haven't tested or you haven't started thinking about AI transformation for your business, I think best thing I would recommend is try to get to learn a lot about what's happening in AI right now. The more you get to know it, the more comfortable you get with it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Unless you know the 10 different success stories of artificial intelligence, you will not get motivated enough. So if you're still on the fence, try to learn more and more about what's happening in the business so that you become comfortable with it. If you are already in it, so let's say you have made a decision that, yes, I'm going to move forward with AI, then at that point, I think you need to stay on top of your AI strategy. So now you're not in the game of yes or no, right? You are already in it. You know that needs to be done. You are evaluating it. The first thing that you should do is build your AI strategy. As I mentioned, a strategy problem with going with piecemeal approach 1 year down the road is going to make you stand at a point where you're going to say it's unmanageable. I can't handle it. I can't do it. It is too expensive. So I think a strategy really becomes very important for you to start thinking not about today how you're going to use AI, what you're going to do with this year down the road, 2 years down the road. Of course, nobody can today think about 5 or 10 years down the road, but at least you start asking yourself questions about a strategy for at least 2 years down the road.
Yeah.
And if you are at the last stage where you have done the implementation and everything is there, I would say just have the faith of accepting it and believing that it's going to be successful, because not all the AI implementations have delivered the results that you expected. And it's just not with AI, it's with any technology, right? There's no 100% success anywhere. So if you're at a point where you have already gone in, you have made up your mind, and you have done some implementation, don't let first failure, if that happens to you, demotivate you and get out of it. This is where you need to be. Stay in there, keep finding ways of making it better. If it hasn't been so successful in the first one, that's okay. That's how we learn. Continue to try finding better ways. Just don't get out of it. Make it be successful the first time.
Well said. Well, thank you for everything today, Vivek. I appreciate learning a little bit about your business model, about your insights and into the future of work, and how we can all embrace the change that's coming so that we can thrive in the businesses that we're involved in and the ideal state of getting through this technological change that is going to be impacting us all. I appreciate your insights and your inspiring words. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much to you as well, Jason. It was a true pleasure. You had amazing questions, very insightful and thought-provoking questions. So thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed sharing what we have done, what we think the future of work is going to be. So It was really nice. Thank you very much.
Excellent.